I'm here with Devin of Sanguisugabogg to talk about the upcoming latest record, Hideous Aftermath, out October 10th on Century Media Records. First of all, thank you very much for taking the time to chat with me about the record. How's things going?
Not bad. Just getting ready for the rollout. And just have a handful of shows that we're about to be playing and stuff too. So our plates are full. We're just trying to prepare for what's to come.
So let's talk about this new record, Hideous Aftermath. Let me ask you this. From a creative standpoint, the road you guys took on this album, was it the same road that the previous records had paved already, or did you guys take some new paths? Not shortcuts, but new paths.
Yeah, I would say that it was a altogether like a different approach from the previous record. Um, with some similarities. Like we actually like made sure to take the time out of our busy schedule to actually devote to the writing of this record and recording. And yeah, all in all, it was a totally different experience. Just coming from being self-produced from our previous records to letting Kurt Ballou handle like production duties fully. So it was out of our hands, and that just made everything a lot more new and exciting. To have like an extra ear, basically like an extra band member, for an entire month. And yeah, so I guess all in all, like it was a familiar walk, down the road, but there was a whole lot of new turns and entrances that we found ourselves walking to on this one.
One of the first things that I noticed about this album, and I wonder if that's the production side of things, is that it sounded way more complete. It sounded like a more mature body of work, perhaps not as raw as the two previous albums. Still heavy, still super brutal, but a little bit more controlled in
Mhm.
terms of what you guys wanted to deliver with it, which allows for a less chaotic listening experience from beginning to end. Is that a result of having that extra band member and behind the production seat and really helping guiding you guys through the process?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's that within itself, and also just being all together in one same room, recording everything. That definitely makes like a huge difference, when it comes to getting the instruments and everything laid out. All doing it in one studio, it being, a way more professional studio than anything we can do ourselves. And just having like really cool equipment. We're not necessarily like a Pro Tools or, like everything's like quantized and real tight, like kind of band. We are pretty old school, and we like to just like, mic up the cabs, not use any mods or simulators or, programming of the drums or anything like that. If we mess up a part, instead of punching in, we usually just do the whole song from scratch. Um, and Kurt, our producer, our engineer, also comes from, that same kind of world and background. So he just has like a way cooler room than any of us have, and a way cooler like analog board and everything too. So it was cool to be like in a way more professional setting, and I think it did a lot to our sound being there.
Where do you think the biggest growth of the band has come from over the discography of the band over these three records?
Yeah, I think there's growth in all cylinders. I think every album is a progression within itself, and I think between this record and the one previously, it's almost like we skipped a whole other record and went into like probably our most like brutal and dark uh sound that we've ever like entered as a band. And I think that just comes with over time you grow up, not just as a musician but as a music fan, and there's a lot of stuff that piques your interest that you would like to throw in. You don't want to get bored of just writing the same song over and over again. So There's a lot of new influences we took on and a lot of new jobs and duties that we gave like to other members of the band to really make sure that we were just not writing a copy paste like kind of record from us. Like it's something that was a lot more meaningful and from the gut and from the heart.
How much has touring played a role in that development and you guys understanding not just the sound, but who you guys are as musicians?
Yeah, I still till this day I learn from every tour we do, whether it's a support tour or a headliner, and just how to take that trajectory and make it a little more palatable, but also make it something that's still interesting in us because there's tons of people that have bands that they have hired guns, they have a hired guitar player or a hired songwriter, and or sometimes they hire people to write all their music for them, and they just end up playing it on the road. And I don't know, I could never be that kind of band, so like I wanted to make sure that as like further we want to take the trajectory of our band, it still has to come from a place that we would all like just as music fans and not just musicians. So if I listen to this kind of record from any other band, I would, I would still be a fan of it, even if it's not from me. So like, um, we took a lot of influence from bands that like to have fun and where they're quote unquote lifers, like they're people that are they have conviction in their music and you can tell that they actually enjoy it. And, that's something that we want to continue on because I want to, me personally, I would like to play shows and do tours until I physically just can't do it anymore. So, um, I want to make sure that there's a record that we're putting out that we don't mind touring and keeping songs in that catalog and that set list for a very long time.
I saw you guys in Toronto a couple of years back, not that long ago, on a support run that you guys did. And I came in
I
early
remember.
because I wanted to see you guys. I really came in early because I didn't want to miss the bog in Toronto. And let me tell you, you guys stole the show in terms of the energy, the excitement, the intensity. I mean, Kublai Khan came right after you guys. They were solid as well. But I really have to say that those two bands, you and them, really set the tone for what a live show when it comes to heavy, brutal music should be all about. And I felt that this record captured that essence better than any other record you guys have ever done. This album really captured that feeling that I got when I saw you guys performing live. When you play this record back, do you see that vision in your head of playing these songs live? Do you see the same thing that I see?
Yeah, yeah. That was the whole point. Is like we wanted it to because I think our previous records it kind of lost like that what we sound like live. Because just because of how like I don't want to say cheap, but how DIY we really did those recordings instead of all just being together in the same room, same place the entire time, uh, doing it way more professional. We were actually able to very like capture what our sound really is as a band. And yeah, just like I said previously, like these are songs that every song on this record is a song that we would love to play live. Like that was the whole purpose of writing it, because we're a very like tour, touring centered and show playing. I want to make sure that this album had material from there was no skips. Like there was a song that we could pull from any track listing and play it live. And yeah, I remember seeing you in Toronto too. You were with you brought your son with
Yeah.
you, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I did. I
Yeah,
did.
yeah, yeah. I remember.
We were both very impressed, dude. We had a great time. It was fucking amazing. I'm kind of bummed out that your headlining tour is playing in Montreal, but there's no Toronto date. So hopefully there will be a Toronto date soon on your schedule. I have to ask you this in terms of the presence that you have on stage. You're a great frontman.
Mhm.
And I got to ask you, which
Okay.
one did you have to work harder at, being a frontman or being the lead singer of the band?
Um, I mean, I would say it's, it's a everything's, a challenge within itself. And, um, I would say I think being this, doing the studio thing, doing like the actual like voice of the band, like work is, it's pretty, there's just a lot more stress that you have to take on with that position. And, when I play live and I see the crowd getting into it, that's that reassurance that everything is good, and when I have headphones on and I'm recording, that's when I get in my head about things and get pretty like, man, I have to redo this whole thing. And then, and so that's another reason why, we handed the production duties off because, if it was left to us again, we would just be so nitpicky. And then, there'd be stuff that we probably wouldn't have liked and things would have been rewritten over and over again. So it was cool to like snap into a schedule. But yeah, I would say as far as being a front man, that's just second nature. I mean, when it all starts from, growing up. I was really, comfortable with public speaking and speaking in front of my class and like peers and, always had a group of friends with me. So I think that, when I'm out on stage, it's kind of that same atmosphere. It's, you know, being the voice that everyone's going to hear in that room. And, I look at everyone in the crowd like they're a part of my group, my circle. So I like to have fun with them.
And you definitely do that, man. I don't know if you ever think of one day maybe changing career paths, but if you ever decide to be a personal trainer, I would totally hire you because I would be scared to do whatever it is that you don't tell me to do. I'm just going to follow every single instruction to the letter. Because when you're on stage, you demand attention. And I love that. I love the vibe that you bring on stage, and I love that vibe on this album. Because I really feel like it elevates the quality of the record and it elevates everything that you guys deliver with hideous aftermath. You guys are going to be on the road with the Canadian Icons, Despised Icon. How cool is that for you to go on a headlining run and take with you a band that really helped define a genre?
Yeah. I mean, it's surreal. Like of course I've grown up, seeing Despised Icon quite a few times. And um, when me and Cody, our drummer, met Alex, both Alexes and everybody in the band, they were on tour with Dying Fetus and really just broke bread and realized how cool they were. And then we saw them in Canada when we were supporting Lorna Shore, and the idea just came up like, hey, we should go out on the road together. And we when that offer came to our table and everything, it was just like, yeah, why not? Let's jump right at it. It is very surreal, like being in a position to be taking them out. It's really cool. It's really interesting. We're our likes and similarities, like who we are as people are there, but musically, it's very different in its own way. And they're a band that just really owns it, even still till this day. They took a little bit of a break and then came back full force, and they're heroes in our eyes, and definitely a big legacy, style band. And yeah, just really stoked to see what all that's going to turn into. I'm looking forward to this next tour a lot.
I'm assuming it was easy for you guys back in the day to put a set list together. Now, with every single passing record, that becomes a little bit more demanding. And now you have this new album that you're going out supporting. Do you give a little bit more attention to the new record on this upcoming tour? Do you try to spread things out so everybody gets a little bit of the bog?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there are tracks, even just outside of our singles, the music videos we put out, that we're going to be playing, and a lot of fan favorites. There are some songs that are pretty deep cuts that we personally as a band haven't played in over a year that I would like to put back into the set list. And I think with touring so much, as short of a time as we have, and like last year we played over 160 shows.
Wow.
So I think this time around, let's play some songs like what people have been like demanding to hear. And of course, we're always gonna throw in Dead as Shit and Dragged by a Truck and a few other ones in the classic folder in our catalog. So, but yeah, definitely a big focus on this new record, especially because Josh Welshman from Defeated Sanity on the tour with us. So we definitely want to play that song that he's featured on and everything too as well.
Do you have a favorite track to perform live? Maybe not outside of this record, but just in general. Is there one on the set list that, man, really gets you going?
Yeah, from the previous record, it was the song "Mortal Admonishment," and then I like there's so many. I know if there's one in particular, I'm probably gonna name like three, but I mean that one I love "Fiending for Bloodshed." It's a really brutal, eccentric song like in our set list, and for this new record, there's ones that only made it into rehearsal, but I really there's two tracks I'm really looking forward to play on the new record. It's track two, Felony Abuse of a Corpse, and probably even track three, Ritual of Autophagia. Those are like they're so different, very groovy. The drum performance is so amazing on those songs too, as well. So I can't wait to actually finally like pull those out and like put them in the live setting in front of people.
It's funny you mention the drums because I want to mention the bass. When you look at
Yeah,
brutal records like this, very rarely does the bass get any love, or at least as much love as you guys given it on this album. I was blown away by how much the bass pops because that bass gives a lot of grooviness to some of the tracks, which for a brutal record allows the experience to be a little bit smoother at times, so you're not being bombarded all the time. There are some moments for you to break. Was that a conscious effort from you guys to bring a little bit more groove into the overall brutality of your sound?
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's kind of been our trademark is, as brutal and, epic some parts are, like there's a lot of groove and, like some bands they lean on breakdowns. Like we like to lean on like eccentric grooves and, different kind of like, even like half tempo, like polyrhythms and stuff like that. And that just comes from, our love for a lot of like more old school bands and also our love for like bands like Gojira or Mastodon, so they're pretty keen on doing the same thing. And we wanted to like showcase like essentially our own version of that with this record. And as far as the bass, I gotta tip my hat again to our engineer Kurt Ballou. You know with with any record that we wrote previously, as far as production, the mids were, just completely skewed. Like they weren't present at all. So the guitar has that very jarring, chugging sound, and it kind of, in the mix, it's just like very chut 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 chut. It's very in your face with it. The way that Kurt likes to mix records, there is a mid range there. He did scoop it as much because we were playing tug of war back and forth on it, but with him, putting his own spin on our mix, like it brought out the bass a lot more. And then, we also not only did we track an actual bass like on every song, we also did split for one channel, we split the guitar signal. into a bass rig, so it even added like an extra layer of bass on top of everything.
That is fucking cool. That is fucking cool. One last question for you. It's a question slash comment. I mean, I think this record is phenomenal. So the fact that you guys can release an album like this, as strong as this is, and really just hold on to the record and let the record do all the heavy lifting as far as the promotion is concerned, kudos to all of you. I'm really happy to see that you're not having any boxing matches scheduled just in order to kind of pump the tires of this record. This record does not need that shit. This record kind of holds its
Mhm.
own on its own. So it's not really a question. It's more of a kudos to you guys for putting out such a great record and standing your ground when you need to. And if there's ever a boxing match, I'm buying the pay-per-view, by the way.
So that's awesome. We'll have AP-Reacts sponsor the fight.
I'll do the ring announcement thing. I'll do
Yeah, yeah.
the Mike Buffer. Let's get ready to rumble shit. So I'll definitely do that, man. You guys released a fucking solid record. Congratulations on this album. I honestly, I'm dying to see you guys live again. So if there's an opportunity to come back to Toronto, I'll be there. I won't miss it. As I don't miss when you guys come to Toronto. Have fun on the road with Despised Icon. I'm sure you guys are going to have an absolute blast. The Montreal show, the closing one, is sold out already. So, Devin, man, once again, congratulations. Great record. You guys fucking kick ass and take names. All the best.
Appreciate it. Thank you, man.